So we thought then that it's good to start with a presentation that can provide you an overview of what is the current situation in terms of standards that are out there from the CEN, and particularly the standard on sustainability of construction works. And this is the reason why we invited the next speaker. Before introducing her, I would like to remind you that we also sent you some documents and documentation that should facilitate the listening and the understanding of what is discussed in these 2 days. These are 2 technical briefs that the people of PMLCM prepared to distribute in road authorities, but now also to give to the participants of this webinar. So please refer to that for some terms that are now possibly can be not that clear. And now, without further ado, I'm very pleased to introduce Lucía Monforte Guillot, which is here very kindly accepted to be here talking about a normative framework for sustainability assessment in civil engineer works. Lucía, I'll very briefly introduce you. I would like to tell people your background a little bit. Lucía, it's an agricultural engineer specialized in environment. She has a master's degree in environmental management and a master's degree in construction, civil engineering works. Has more than 14 years professional experience, and now is at the head of the Department of Environmental and CSR at FCC Construction in Spain. And she also fulfills additional tasks such as drafting the sustainability report, the carbon footprint calculation, verification and participation in external working groups, like the one that she will mention in her presentation, which is the working group of the TC 350 of the CEN, which is Sustainability of Construction Works. So, Lucía, please, the virtual floor is yours. I will advise everyone to please write any question in the chat, and we will take question at the end of the presentation. We have between 5 and 10 minutes. Please, Lucía.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me? Yes, okay. And can you see the presentation as well? Okay, perfect. So hi to all of you. Thank you for being here, and thank you for having me. I think you are doing a great initiative with this workshop that, as you said, has become global now. And well, I'm as Davide said, write down the questions that you want, and I will try to answer them. Sorry if I don't see them, but maybe they can tell to me, because it's a bit difficult with the 2 screens. But for sure at the end we will go through all of them. So what I wanted to speak to you is a little bit about the normative framework that some working groups are developing for the sustainability assessment of civil engineering works, both at international and at European level. So there is a need of sustainability. There are a wide range of stakeholders that have interest in measuring and communicating the sustainability of their civil engineering works. We see that more and more in our daily work, that our clients, for instance, they want to show to other people, to the policy makers, or just to their different stakeholders, that the civil engineering works that they are building, the road they are building, or the dam, that it is sustainable. And there is also a wide movement in the European Union, for instance, in the Circular Economy Action Plan or in the Green Deal, that they acknowledge that it is key to develop tools that make these stakeholders able to make a sustainable decision. But these decisions have to be based on some information. So there is a common understanding that we all need integrating tools. We need tools that enable us to make this decision and that help us to know what is sustainable and how we can assess it and communicate it. But the first thing that we need to know is what is sustainability. If you Google it, you have a lot of results, as you can see here in the slide. And they are correct because they are different ways of seeing sustainability. As you know, it's a wide concept. It has 3 dimensions, but it covers a lot of aspects. And there can be aspects that can be more important for some people and other aspects for others. So if we want to assess the sustainability of a civil engineering work, the first thing is that we all have to speak the same language and we all have to understand the same by sustainability. And it's not quite clear if this is so. Just as an example, here this will be an exam where the teacher asks the pupils to find X. Supposedly, most of the pupils will answer with the theorem of Pythagoras, and they will know the answer to the problem. But this is another solution. This pupil has just crossed the X and has find it because there is the X where he states. So this is just to see that sustainability is very, very wide, and we can have different solutions that are also correct, but we need to understand the same so that we can say correctly in the same language what is sustainable. So this subjectivity that has the concept within, we have to objectify it, and we have to be able to assess the sustainability in our civil engineering works. So we need tools. We need indicator system, and we need assessment criteria so that everyone that wants to assess the sustainability of a civil engineering work does it in a similar way. Also, all the projects are different, and every construction project is a prototype, but we need to have a same standard or a same scheme, no? For this, there are different working groups at international and European level that are working for giving guidelines for assessing the sustainability of civil engineering works. For instance, at the international level, we can find the Technical Committee 59 of ISO, Subcommittee 17, that is all this work related with sustainability in construction, and specifically Working Group 5 is the one that works with the sustainability assessment for civil engineering works. At the European level, the TC 315 that David already spoke about it is about sustainability in construction works, and specifically Working Group 6 deals with civil engineering works. These are the 2 working groups where I'm participating. And then at the national level, we have in all of the countries, as an example here is the one of Spain, but we have mirror national committees that go together and analyze the standards developed both on international and European levels. Because at international and European levels, in the meetings, there are some civil engineering works experts or experts in sustainability for different fields that join together and with the different meetings, they develop these standards, but the standards are not a result of the opinion of these experts. These experts have to go back at the national level, where there is a national committee, and have to decide everything. So they are representing a country, and they are giving the opinions of all the country. It's not their personal opinion. So this is more or less the picture. And when did it started for civil engineering works? We had a big background of buildings, but all the sustainability was only dealt within buildings. There was nothing related for civil engineering works. So in 2017, in July, the Spanish Mirror Committee proposed to work on a new issue in ISO level that has to deal with sustainability and civil engineering works. So it was acknowledged that there was a need, and they agreed to create this new Working Group 5, where the different countries should nominate their experts. And then in February 2008 was the first meeting of Working Group 5 that was held in Madrid. With European level, it started a bit later, like 2 or 3 years later. There was also a proposal, and at their plenary meeting, they agreed to include civil engineering works in the work program of TC 315. And so they started to work also in civil engineering works. In these standards, the scope is a bit started to be a bit different in buildings and in civil engineering works. What you can see here in my slide are the standards that are now published and that everyone can have access to them, buying them, of course, for buildings, both at European and international level. Here, as you see, in buildings, they have a framework, but they have different frameworks for the 3 dimensions of sustainability, for environmental, social, or economic. And they also have the calculation methods, the assessment, how to do it, for environmental, social, or economic performance of the buildings. At international level, they have a framework general, but the framework for assessment is not only for environmental performance. There is no social and no economic. In civil engineering's work, from the beginning, when we started to work in 2007, it was clear for the experts that we had to have a unified framework that joined all the dimensions of sustainability. So as you see, here these are the standards published for civil engineering works now. Well, these 3, this one for European and these 2 for ISO, because this is the one of calculations method that is not published because we are working on it, but it will be published next year, and is the one that we are going to speak with a little more of detail. But as you see, the difference of the scope is that from the beginning, we were seeing the whole dimension of sustainability, economic, social, and environmental together, both in ISO and in CEN. Now this is changing because in CEN, they are working now in a different working group. I think it's 7, but I'm not sure if I'm right. And they are developing a unique standard that has the general framework, the 3 frameworks for buildings, and the framework of civil engineering works. So it will be a standard for the sustainability assessment of construction works in general, only one. And here in ISO, the people from buildings, they are also working to expand this scope to also include social and economic performance of buildings. So what we from the beginning started to say that it was better for civil engineering works to start with this scope, it's changing, and it has been also the path, I think, for future for buildings and civil engineering works. Here is very quick so that you can have it when you have the presentation. You can see the standards that have already been developed in ISO level. These are already published, both the principal standards for building and civil engineering works and at product level. And here in purple, you can see the ones that are now working. For instance, the framework for development of indicators for civil engineering works that was already published, but as a technical specification. Now it will be an ISO standard, and we are adapting it to the changes, revising it, and also linking it with the SDGs, with the Sustainable Development Goals, as an example of some big changes that it will have. So this is the thing that we are working now at ISO level. Then, as you see here, is the one from buildings that is going to be expanded. And this is the other standard of ISO related with civil engineering works that now it has no change. For CEN is the same. The blue ones are the one already published, both at framework level, works level, or product level. And the ones in purple are the ones that are being now worked at product level quite a lot. I'm not an expert here, and I cannot speak very much about them. But at framework level, this is the one that will have the 5 frameworks together. They are revising the assessment of environmental, social, and economic performance of buildings in 3 different standards. And we are also defining the calculation methods for civil engineering works that will be finished for May of next year. So this is the standard that I was telling you, that is the project this project, and this will be the calculation methods for the sustainability assessment of civil engineering works. It was registered back in 2019, and if the voting is positive, it will be approved. So it will be published in May 2021. So I will go a bit through for this standard. And well, this document that we are now developing, it provides specific methods and requirements for assessing the environmental, social, and economic performance of a civil engineering works. And it has to take into account both the civil engineering works characteristics and functionality. The primary objective of this document is to help the different stakeholders in the decision making for a project, because it provides a standardized method that can make able to compare different options. The assessment of environmental and economic performances is based on life cycle assessment, life cycle cost, whole life cycle cost, and other quantified and environmental and economic information. And while the approach to the assessment covers all stages of the civil engineering works life cycle, and it also includes all civil engineering works related construction products, processes, and services that are used over the whole life cycle. The document standard is applicable to new, but also to existing civil engineering works or refurbishment projects. And the environmental performance is based on data that are obtained from the APDs, from the environmental product declarations, as well as other additional indicators. Because, as you know, for instance, in the photo we can see a road. So, for instance, a road could have a barrier effect for the animals that are on this area. And this will be important of the environmental performance of this road, but this information is not included in an APD specific of a construction product. So we need additional indicators different from the one of the APDs. But all the indicators that are defined within the APDs, it was quite clear from the beginning that we should not invent different ones for the same concepts. The ones that are already defined in the APDs are the ones that are going to be used. And then if new ones need to be used for the environmental performance of the civil engineering as a whole, they are going to be added. We will see some indicators later.
Lucía,
and also,
sorry to interrupt. Just to say, you have 2 minutes left, please.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so I'm going to go quickly. Sorry. This is the process for the assessment, and these are the steps that you have to follow if you want to assess the environmental, economic, and social performance of a civil engineering work. As you see, here are the steps, and here are the clauses of the standard, no? Where we can see. So we need to define what we want to assess. What is our intended use? We want to do this assessment for helping decision making, or for the procurement, or for supporting some policy development. The scope, for instance, if it only covers 2 areas of sustainability, it must be specified in the report. It can be done, but it must be specified. We have to specify the object of assessment. We have to use scenarios, because the assessments have to be established on the basis of specific scenarios that represent all of the work life cycle stages, and they shall be in accordance with the functional characteristics. Then we have to quantify all materials and products of the civil engineering works. We have different data sources for the different data. We have to calculate the indicators in the standards. All have to be considered, and if relevant, assessed. And when some indicator is not assessed because it is not relevant for the civil engineering work, it shall be justified. Always when we do not undertake the whole assessment, we have to justify it. Then at the end, we have to report, to communicate. This will be the summary of the assessment documentation. And communication here is regarded as the presentation of information of the assessment report, the results to any third party or stakeholder that is interested. And if we want, we can also verify the results of our assessment by a third party. And just very short, I wanted to go deep to what it is the object of assessment in the standard, that this will be the civil engineering work and its area of influence. And if the assessment is restricted to a part of a civil engineering work or a part of the life cycle, or if any relevant impacts are not addressed, this shall be documented and the reasons shall be given. Then it's very important, the concept of functional equivalent. I don't know if you know it, because in order to being able to compare different solutions, we have to use the same functional equivalent. This is a mean of comparison between different results. For instance, we have to say a road with a capacity, or a dam with some capacity, with some kilometers, the specific characteristics, because we cannot compare two different things. Then we have also to choose a reference to the period. Normally, it will be the required service life, but if it's shorter or longer, it can also be selected. You have to explain. And if the reference to the period is different from the required service life, then what we have to do is to do the assessment for the required service life, but of the impacts, aspects, and costs and everything, and then it will be adjusted by a factor. Here you can see the system boundary that follows the modularity principle, that is the one that has been agreed for all the standards at European level, and that I think David is going to explain you, and you are going to use in your APD that you are going to do next in the workshop. And this is an example of the environmental indicators, social and economic, that we are dealing with in this standard. As I told you before, there are some indicators that are based on the APDs and other different ones. These are not the indicators, these are only the categories. So there are a lot of indicators in the standard. These are the social ones, the categories, once again, and these are the economic ones. And this is all. Sorry for having been rushed at the end.
Lucia, no, thanks so much. Really, thank you very much. The only reason why I told about 2 minutes is to eventually have some question and answer.
Yes. I don't know if now I'm not sharing. No, it's okay.
I think we still see your last slide.
Sharing, but maybe you can stop sharing if you want, or just leave it like that for the questions. Okay. Now you.
So it would be great to have questions from the audience. So please, I invite everyone to write some, anything really. In the meanwhile, Lucia, I have a question for you. It's, again, first of all, thanks for sharing what you're doing in the working group of the technical committee. I mean, our project is really trying to tailor what you prescribe in the road pavement and in the asphalt industry. So we will show a little bit more how we're doing in the next presentation. What I wanted to ask you is, Lucia, do you know of other industries of civil engineering that are already applying the standard, that are already ahead with implementation of what is in the standard? Is it only buildings, or some other area is already working on it?
Well, for civil engineering works, the standard has not been published, so I think anyone can use it by now. What I know more from our not at the whole sector, but from our projects in our company, is that normally what we are using now are not standards. We are using commercial tools, because since the standards are not developed yet, these calculation methods, the thing that normally our clients demand us to use are some different standards, as you know, like for civil engineering, for buildings, the most known ones are BREEAM or LEED, and for civil engineering works, the ones that are more requested in Europe are CEQA, and in the war in USA, Envision. The good thing is that the people that work in Envision and in C-Equal are also working members, are experts in these both working groups. So these commercial tools that already exist and a lot of clients know, these requirements are also taken into consideration in the standard, so that we hope that in the future these tools will be adapted to the standard, but anyone that wants to do the assessment regarding the standard can do it without the tools as well. So it's
okay.
This.
What you mentioned, both Envision and C-Equal are sustainability rating system, just to the audience. But from what I understand, there is still not a particular industry that has taken the standard and implemented and tailored it. So we're probably one of the first that is trying to make this effort.
Yes, probably yes.
Okay.